Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video and kind of show one of the projects I've been working on. I didn't have to, but I started rebuilding a lot of the components that I use in my own modeling just to get everything consistent and all colored the same way and looking the same way. So I'm kind of going through and rebuilding a lot of my old models. And when I'm doing it, I decided to just basically share most of them. So that anybody can use them to make corrals. So I'll kind of show you what's available on 3D Warehouse and show you how to bring it into SketchUp and use it. Then you got to be, you kind of got to know how to use SketchUp a little bit to use these, but it'll make it so that it's not, you don't have to model up all the gates. You don't have to really keep track of all the layers and components and complex stuff. You can kind of just drag this stuff in, position it where you want, and you'll get a reasonably good set of corrals out of the deal. So I've got a set of gates. They're just 4 foot tall, 6-bar gates. Pull one up and look at it. Yeah, it's nothing fancy. It's just kind of built. Let me pull this up here. So it's nothing fancy, but it's built, it's built quite exactly. It has some little grab handles on it to help in spacing it in the gap. It's got a little, I built a little deal on top to help you click to orbit, click to rotate it so you can position the gate right. I built it with a 3D object layer for all the visible stuff and a 2D drawing layer that you can use when you're just printing it out, just to make it so you have better prints. They're all built with 3 inches of space on each end, which is how I've always built gates. So a 14-foot gate is actually 13 foot 9 inches end to end. And these little tabs on the end are just 1.5 inches long. And that way it positions it exactly right for you. So yeah, they're just a consistent gate that should be really easy to use in SketchUp. The next thing is posts. Posts are pretty simple, but again, they're just modeled in such a way that they're pretty easy to work with. So I made these posts as 5 foot tall posts and 12 foot tall posts. I didn't model the underground part just because a lot of my old models had the underground part built in, and I find it just kind of clutters it up. You don't see the underground part when you're, making a tour of a set of corrals, so you can kind of just assume it's there. And unless you're modeling up a drawing that you need to show how deep the post goes, there's really not much point in actually having the underground part on a post. So these ones are modeled. They've got a little cross on the top also. And they have the same thing on the 2D drawing layer here. Those are just so that you can position them on the center line really easy. It makes it easier to grab the center, faster to grab the center than just trying to find center of the circle. They're set so that they snap to the ground level, and that's about all there is to it. There's a 3D object layer and a 2D drawing layer too on these. And then there's overhead brace pipe and a fence. And both of those you can just bring in and then you use the scale tool to get them the right length. So you can find these, if you just search for RX cattle yards in the 3D Warehouse, you can find them, you can download them. Just leave a comment and a like if you use them. So let's hop into SketchUp. I'll show you how they work really quick. So when you're using 3D Warehouse, there's 2 ways you can do it. One is you can download the model itself and then import that into SketchUp. But a better way a lot of time is if you have a good internet connection, is to just search in the components tab. You can just search for, you'll find that folder here. It'll bring it up in a separate tab, and then you can download the model directly into your open model. So we'll bring in a 4.5 by 12 foot component here. So we'll look at this a little bit. One thing about these is that they all snap to ground level, and that's done by a simple, it's in the dynamic components tab. Basically, it's just set so that the axis is always going to be on the 0, the ground level, so 0 on the blue axis. And what that does is it helps you, it prevents you from getting off a little bit. A lot of times when you're drawing this type of fence and stuff, it's really easy to get off by an inch. And then you go through and everything's off just a little bit. But if you make all these posts and all these fences snap to a certain level from the ground plane, you don't have that problem and you don't have to worry about it. So here's a post to bring in one of the gates here. I'll bring in a 12-foot gate. So the gate does the same thing. It snaps so that the bottom of the gate is 12 inches above the ground plane. So it's 30 centimeters, 12 inches. I'll just change this to bring in some fence. Now you can search for the model itself, or I've got it in this collection called RX Cattle Yards. So either way. The overhead brace, it's set to snap 12 foot above ground plane. So it's going to come in just like this. And then you just snap it there. To make the overhead brace the right length, you just scale it. You'll notice there's only 2 scale handles because I disabled all the other ones, so you don't have to worry about getting the wrong one. So you can only grab the correct scale handle. And you can move the fence and position it. Now, the fence is it's set to appear at 12 inches above ground level also. But this fence also has a side to it because that's the way you build a lot of fence. So you can pay attention to that. The fence is the rails are gonna appear on one side or the other of the posts. I'll bring in some small posts and I'll show you what I mean here. Bring in a 2 7/8 post. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and we'll position it there and then move it over 8 foot. And then we'll just make a few copies at 8 foot. So there's our rails. Now what you can do is, what I like to do is grab the 2D drawing part because it's just a little bit easier to grab exactly right. And now the fence I actually snap to the center and then it ends up kind of overlapping a little bit. But you can see this fence is on the side of the post and the top rail is on the center. That's just the way I've kind of built this fence most of my life. And it lets you show in the model which side of the fence you want it to be on. If you want it to be on the other side, all you got to do is rotate it around, and then you need to reposition it just a little bit here. So now it's going to show on the other side. I like to actually do that so that you can show which side it should be on. To make the fence the correct length, again, it's just the scale tool, and they're all hidden except for the red axis scale. Just scale it right up to here. So now we've got a little section of fence and a gate in place. Let's put this gate in the right place. These gates have this little tab on the end, and that tab should butt up against the post. And then the other tab will also just kind of butt up against the post. If you want to position that gate a different way, you can just use the rotate tool. And like I say, this little cross makes it a little easier to grab the center. And then you can just come out and position it however you want. We'll put it 45 degrees. So there we go. This is all just components that we just drug out of the 3D warehouse and put in the model. They all snap to the right height. They all snap together pretty easy, and they're going to look right when you go to print it. I'll show you here. If you come and position your camera in the parallel projection and then go to a standard view of top, and then turn the tags so that only your 2D drawing is showing, it's going to print out looking like this. So you can see your gate really clearly. You can see your big posts really clearly. And you can still take measurements off of this quite easily. Even if you're not using layout, you can come in and put dimensions in pretty quick. It's real easy to snap to the sensors with these crosses on it. And you can just put these dimensions on a separate tag so that you don't, so that you're not using them, you're seeing them all the time. So, pretty snappy. You can make these call outs here. You actually have to type this one in, but so even inside of SketchUp, using these components, it's pretty easy to make a pretty nice looking drawing here. It's even easier when you're in layout. Now the one thing about it is I don't think this dynamic component trick works in the free version of SketchUp on the online version. So you'll have to pay attention to it and make sure, but if you're using the SketchUp Pro, it will work quite good. So, I guess that's about all I have for today. Let me know if you have any questions about this. I'll put the link to the collection in the comments. And have a good day.